I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation. I felt like Hollywood is just spineless, en masse. And it really felt like, oh, this is a really clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore.
That I'm not a saint, that I am a work in progress, but I will not be held hostage by my past.
I tried and tried and tried to get the message across to people that abuse was not just abuse, it was also seduction.
There's something deeply up with you.
Videos of girls dancing in a Manhattan townhouse, model castings, of all kinds. These are just a few of the more than 2,000 videos released under the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Plus, there are interviews where Epstein calls himself a Tier 1 predator.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
I don't know. Why would you say that?
Years ago, Jim Carrey stood on live television and said something that made an entire room go quiet. He looked directly at the camera and said, "Hollywood is spineless." Then he named names. He talked about people in that industry who smile for the cameras and hide something completely different behind closed doors. You're about to see those exact moments, back to back, with the real footage. And by the end, you're going to understand why one name keeps coming up over and over again, no matter how many times she tries to change the subject. Before you judge anything you are about to see, you need two facts straight. First, the documents connected to Jeffrey Epstein are real. They are public now, and they name people who used to be completely untouchable. Second, for over a decade, people called Jim Carrey unstable for the things he said in public. Everyone laughed it off as another celebrity meltdown. But watch closely, because this is not about one actor, and it is not about one actress denying her past on camera. This is about a pattern. Once you see it, you will not be able to unsee it. To understand why any of this matters, you have to go back to 2014, to a moment that most people either forgot or never saw the full version of in the first place.
Is that a gang sign? Have you,
Oh, like you don't know what it is. You don't know what that is.
I have no idea.
Well, you don't know. Jimmy Fallon doesn't know. David Letterman doesn't know.
We don't know.
All the comics and show business don't know what this is. Right? Yeah.
What is it?
Come on, Jimmy. Seriously, the time is up. People are hip to this kind of stuff. I'm here tonight to blow the lid off it, to be the whistleblower. I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies. It is the secret symbol of the Illuminati, and you're a part of it, and it is the all-mocking tongue.
Oh, I like it. It needs a scraping.
It's the symbol of the all-mocking tongue. And I'm sick of it. I want everybody to be in on the joke, man. You know what I mean? For years now, talk show hosts, people on television, people in sitcoms have been hired by the government to throw you off the track, to distract you, to make you laugh and stuff like that, make you happy and docile so you don't know what's really going on. You know? And they get out there in the woods in a circle naked and they decide these things. And, you know, and you know, look at him trying to cover it up. It's hilarious.
Jim Carrey is sitting across from Jimmy Kimmel, live in front of a full studio audience. And out of nowhere, he draws a symbol in the air, then on his own hand. He calls it the all-mocking tongue. Then he looks Kimmel directly in the eye and tells him, on camera, that he is part of the Illuminati. Listen to the audience in this clip. You hear laughter. You hear applause. It sounds like a bit, like something scripted for the cameras. But here's what people who were actually sitting in that studio that night have said since. They say the room was dead silent, no laughing, no clapping, which means, if that's true, someone made a very specific choice afterward, in an editing room, to add sound that was never actually there. Sit with that for a second. Why would anyone need to manufacture laughter unless they needed the moment to look like something it wasn't?
You know, and I'm sick of, hold on a second. You know what they're trying to do? Who? This thing is buzzing. Hold on. They're trying to turn us into, you know, consumer drones of some sort. Hold on, I just got to get this.
And yeah.
Yeah, listen, I'm in the middle of blowing the lid off some.
What happened?
I'm sorry, Jimmy.
And then, right when Carrey starts naming specifics, right when he says people in that industry are paid to keep the public distracted, laughing, and too comfortable to ask real questions, his phone rings. Just like that, mid-sentence. He picks it up, he apologizes to Jimmy, and the entire conversation quietly ends, as someone had simply closed a door that was never supposed to open in the first place. Nobody knows for certain what that call actually was. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was exactly what it looked like, an ordinary interruption at an ordinary moment. But ask yourself honestly, how often does a phone call end a conversation that fast? At the exact moment, things start getting uncomfortable for everyone. This was not a one-time thing. Watch what happens later that same year on Ellen. Carrey picks up a marker and calmly draws another symbol, this time directly onto the studio floor. Watch Ellen's face in this clip. Her usual composed, camera-ready smile completely breaks just for a second before she catches herself and turns it back into a joke for the audience. At the time, everyone treated it exactly the same way they treated the Kimmel moment. Just Jim being Jim, another eccentric bit from a comedian known for going off script. Nobody was connecting anything back then. There were no documents yet. No names, no paper trail. But once those documents did become public, people went back and rewatched these two clips, back to back, and suddenly they didn't look like comedy anymore. They looked like someone trying to say something important, wrapped inside something the audience would find easy to dismiss. So keep this feeling in mind as we go forward, because it is about to happen again and again with names you already know. To understand why Naomi Campbell's name kept surfacing years after everyone thought her story was closed, you have to go back to where her career actually started. She was discovered at 15, spotted on the street in London, and by the late 1980s, she had become one of the most photographed women alive. Alongside Christy Turlington and Linda Evangelista, she formed what the fashion world called the Trinity. Three women who didn't just model clothes. They decided which designers mattered and which parties were worth attending. She walked for Gianni Versace. She was photographed by Peter Lindbergh and Herb Ritz. By the time she was in her 20s, Naomi Campbell wasn't just famous. She was untouchable in an industry built entirely on access and proximity to power. That access is exactly what makes what came later so difficult to look away from.
That I'm not a saint, that I am a work in progress, but I will not be held hostage by my past.
In 2001, at her own 31st birthday party in Saint-Tropez, Naomi Campbell was introduced to a financier named Jeffrey Epstein, brought into her circle by her then boyfriend, Formula One executive Flavio Briatore. That single introduction would follow her for the next 2 decades.
Do you think it's fair to draw you into the Charles Taylor story when you were only a witness? After all, the picture they used clearly shows someone cropped from it. Presume that was President Mandela?
Yes, I do think it's unfair. For me, it's a distorted piece of journalism, and I do love great journalism, but this is a direct character assassination, and it belongs in like an Orwell book.
If a story like this doesn't take into account the person being interviewed, does it then become fake news?
Well, it's pretty one-sided, and I don't want to get into that phrase, but I feel if you don't give the person the chance to speak for themselves and respond, I mean, this is a pretty established newspaper. You should give the person the right to respond to what your allegations are.
Listen to how she frames it here. She says she knew him, but insists she had no idea what he was actually doing. She calls the reporting distorted, the photos cropped, the entire narrative unfair to her. At the time, this answer worked. The public accepted it. Case closed, as far as most people were concerned. But documents don't forget the way public statements do.
Did you know who he was?
Yes, I knew him. I was introduced to him on my 31st birthday by my ex-boyfriend Flavio. He was always front and center at Victoria's Secret shows.
Did you suspect what he was doing?
No. And what he's done is indefensible. And when I heard of what he'd done, it sickened me to my stomach, just like everybody else. Because I've had my fair share of s***tors, and thank God that I had good people around me that protected me from this. I mean, right now I stand with the victims. They're scarred for life.
According to newly surfaced emails, Naomi Campbell didn't just meet Epstein once and walk away. Her team invited him to her 40th birthday celebration in Saint-Tropez in 2010. Less than a year after he was released from prison as a registered offender, she invited him again to a Dolce & Gabbana event in Paris. Flight records place her on his private plane on multiple documented occasions between 2001 and 2002, alongside other passengers whose names have become just as controversial. And in 2016, according to the files, she personally requested use of his private jet one final time, years after his conviction was already public record. That's not a single unfortunate association. That's a relationship that survived his prison sentence, survived his registration as an offender, and kept going for 15 years.
So Naomi Campbell, she's got a lot of questions to answer. She allegedly, by the emails, and I've seen them myself in the Epstein documents, was taking a boy to Jeffrey Epstein's house in New York. This was when Epstein was a convicted sex offender. The mainstream media run it, and what do? They bury it in the 4th paragraph within the article. It's not a headline. That is simply impossible. They are being restricted because Naomi, I believe, would have sent her lawyers in to push down all of this, to suppress this. But this is the same woman that has been arrested numerous times for hitting people, throwing phones at people. And when she's pulled up on it, she always hides behind addiction. And when she hides behind addiction, what do the public think? Oh, feel bad, I can't challenge her. She's a nasty woman.
Investigators who've gone through these documents line by line aren't buying the cropped photo explanation anymore. Listen to how directly they push back here. They call her response exactly what it looks like on paper. Someone who knew far more than she's ever publicly admitted, and who reaches for the same defense every single time she's confronted with it.
Guys, it's really not looking good for Naomi Campbell because she is being exposed in a lot more emails. I have done my research. I've scanned through the files, guys, and they were roughly 230 results of Naomi Campbell in emails. I've gone through all of those emails because what does that mean? How was he even able to get her number? He must have had contact with her in some kind of way. Maybe it was an event. Maybe he took her number and maybe he just randomly phoned her. That's also very plausible and they don't have a relationship. But to me, that's very bizarre. But her name is mentioned in this and I would like to make that very clear. Now, let's get into the rest of the files in regards to Epstein and Naomi Campbell, which we did not discuss a couple of days ago. But there are more. Hi Naomi, I hope all worked out the other day. Jeffrey wants me to let you know that he'll be in New York tomorrow. Might you be around? Hi Naomi, Jeffrey is looking to speak with you. Could you please give him a call on his cell or the office line? Jeffrey and Naomi go way back. Because for the fact that these two have been talking, trying to have meetings, trying to speak on the phone, so much so, you would have thought that they didn't really have a relationship, but they look like they were actually good friends. Another email from Leslie Groff to Epstein. Please call Naomi right away. She says she really needs to speak with you. She has results and she's going to be okay. What results does Naomi have for Epstein, please? These emails are insane. She has results. What results does she have that Epstein will be pleased by? What does that sound like to you? It sounds like people like Naomi and even Heidi Klum are being accused of grooming and collecting girls and boys for Epstein. That's basically what this is implying. And then the direct connect between Diddy and Epstein is literally Naomi. Please call Naomi right away. She says she really needs to speak to you. She really needs to speak to Epstein about what results does she have that would make him so happy that she needs to speak. These are all emails directly from the Department of Justice website, guys. Naomi is following up on using the plane. She said she spoke to you about this and she hopes you can call her soon. She needs to know. Please call Naomi right away. She says she really needs to speak to you. She has redacted and she is redacted. What does Naomi have that she really needs to speak to Epstein about? I don't understand, guys. It doesn't look good. Hi, Naomi. Jeffrey is in New York and asking if you might be as well. Please let me know. Naomi texted me. She was trying to get in touch with you. She is on her UK cell. Why does she constantly want to try and have some kind of relationship or, you know, trying to show things to Epstein? I don't get it. Please call Naomi Campbell. She's in Spain, but she's up. Constant phone calls, guys. All in emails, trying to set up phone calls between Epstein and Naomi. She keeps having results. She keeps having answers. Epstein's looking for stuff. And it's no surprising to me that Naomi has all of these fundraising charity events, which easily will be used to attract more, you know, impressionable models, which is what Epstein, of course, wanted.
And here's the detail that makes this different from just knowing the wrong person. These aren't just party invitations. According to the emails themselves, there was an ongoing exchange, something being coordinated, something Epstein specifically wanted from her, repeated across years, not a single lapse in judgment at one party in the south of France. So ask yourself the same question people asked about Jim Carrey all those years ago. When someone tells you one story on camera and the paperwork tells you a completely different one, which version are you supposed to believe? Because if it happened once with Naomi Campbell, the real question becomes obvious. Who else did exactly the same thing? To understand how far this pattern reaches, you have to understand who Oprah Winfrey actually built herself into over 4 decades. She started as a local news anchor in Nashville, then Baltimore, before taking over a struggling Chicago morning show in 1984 and turning it into the highest-rated program in the country within a single year. By the mid-90s, Oprah wasn't just a talk show host. She was arguably the most trusted woman in America. She built a media empire, launched a book club that could turn unknown authors into bestsellers overnight, and cultivated an image built entirely on one idea: that she was different from everyone else in that industry. Safer, more honest, someone who actually cared. In 2007, she took that trust and built something she called her proudest achievement, the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa, a school designed to give young girls from poverty a real chance at a different life.
Back in 2007, Oprah Winfrey thought it would be a good idea to open up a boarding school in South Africa. She was inspired by Nelson Mandela and made a promise to him that she was going to create this school. The academy is called Leadership Academy for Girls. Actually, the government of South Africa was against Oprah opening this school because it's an extremely expensive place and the population there is extremely poor. But yet she opens this school and it's got salons in it, it's got gyms in it. I mean, some people think that this was a place for kids to be human trafficked because they would go and get them ready there for sale. And honestly, we don't need to talk about that conspiracy, but we need to talk about the scandals that have gone down at this school.
These are my girls. These are my girls. Look up, man.
So Oprah built this $40 million school in South Africa, and they had 152 students attend. Oprah actually handpicked the 152 students who attended her school, but it wasn't long until some of these students were being harmed by one of the employees of the school. Her name is Virginia, and she was 27 years old at the time, and she was charged with 13 counts of getting inappropriate with the kids. Virginia got physical with at least 6 students aged 13 to 15. So these students were handpicked by Oprah to go and live at this academy, and one of these employees who is managing the dorm is physically touching them and doing things to them and harming them. This was a bad look for South Africa because they have had a problem with children being harmed at school by these employees. But ultimately, Oprah put them in this situation to be harmed by this employee.
Listen to what actually happened there. A matron at that school, someone entrusted with the direct care of these girls, was accused of physically mistreating students. Oprah only addressed it publicly once the story had already broken in the press. And here's the detail that still bothers people who followed this story closely. That matron was never imprisoned.
I was, needless to say, devastated and really shaken to my core when I first heard this news. And immediately within the first hour of receiving this information, I contacted here in the United States Dr. Bruce Perry, who is founder of the Child Trauma Academy in Houston, Texas. And Dr. Perry informed me that the law in the United States requires that one must report, even if you suspect child abuse, it must be reported to the Child Protective Services. And so he said, if I were you, I would confirm if that is also the law in South Africa, which I did. And first thing Monday morning, I contacted Superintendent Needling and told him that I wasn't sure what had happened, but there was a suspicion on the part of the girls of some type of abuse. I told Andre Needling that I wanted to conduct an independent investigation to determine what exactly had happened, and that I would appreciate his advice and his guidance in this matter. And he told me that his department would work in cooperation with our independent investigation. Now, the reason why I did that is I wanted to hire an independent team because my experience with child predators is that no one ever abuses just one child. Although the girls only had spoken of one classmate, my first priority was to determine how many girls had actually been affected and to what extent.
Watch this clip carefully. Oprah calls herself devastated. She says the girls went through something terrible. But listen to what she never actually says. She never specifies what happened. She never details how she personally investigated it, how many girls were affected, or what concrete steps were taken afterward. It reads almost like she's working from a prepared statement rather than speaking from genuine, specific knowledge of an investigation she oversaw personally.
Oprah heard about John of God and she decided that she needed to see this for herself. And so she traveled to Brazil. She spent multiple days with him, watching him heal the sick and injured. And she was so amazed by what she saw. And if we know anything about Oprah in her heyday, it's that if she promoted someone, they were going to blow up. Oprah was like the first influencer. If she liked something, she could put it on the map. It was like going viral before going viral was really a concept. And so when she put her seal of approval on his little miracle healing operation, people started showing up in droves. But as disturbing and unethical as the spiritual surgeries were, that's not even the worst of what John of God was doing behind closed doors. Powerful people could not help to cover this up any longer. It had gained way too much attention. And just a couple of weeks after that interview aired, authorities were ready to make an arrest. John did attempt to go on the run, but thankfully that only lasted for one day and he ended up turning himself in. And I truly believe that he thought somehow he was going to escape the charges just like he had so many times before, but that was not going to happen this time. 77-year-old John of God was found guilty on multiple counts of rape, vulnerable person, and illegal possession of a firearm. And he was sentenced to over 480 years in prison.
That same pattern of trust extending somewhere it probably shouldn't have repeats itself with a man named John of God, a self-proclaimed faith healer in Brazil. Oprah personally spent days documenting his work, promoted him to her enormous global audience, and told the world she had witnessed real healing happen in his presence. Years later, he was convicted and sentenced to decades in prison for crimes connected to hundreds of women.
These curvy, sexy black women from Africa. You girls have a kind of a monopoly on this genetic perfection, and we want some of that. So, girls, for $100, we will pay you for your egg.
No, $100, monkey.
So how much do you want for it? Let's bid. I bid $500 for you. Whatever I bid, he's gonna outbid me. I bought about $60,000 worth of eggs. Yeah. If you have that's very valuable. The cord, you know, and placenta, even if you're is so rich with stem cells. We regard it as waste, and it actually should be. It should be captured as recycled, and it shouldn't go to waste. It's life for somebody, and it's life for mankind. The best eggs are 16 to 18 years old. Those are the best eggs. As you get older, your eggs get weaker and weaker.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So you may not be our candidate.
No, that's fine. I think that was my business anyway.
Around that same broader circle sits Peter Nygaard, a billionaire fashion executive who once appeared on television offering women money for their DNA and biological material in ways that, looking back, feel deeply disturbing rather than merely eccentric. Nygaard has since faced serious criminal allegations of his own.
So when some people think Oprah Winfrey, they think Harvey Weinstein because they have been linked together so often. First off, Oprah and Harvey have been friends for over 2 decades. A lot of people use the argument that she didn't know about what he was doing, but that's impossible because everyone's known about Harvey Weinstein's reputation ever since the 90s. If you guys don't know who Harvey Weinstein is, he is a major film producer who is pretty much the face of the Me Too movement because he was called out by a bunch of different actresses who he violated. When he was getting canceled and exposed for everything that he has done, Oprah allegedly called him and offered her support. Even though Oprah's team denies this, I believe it because Oprah has been close with Harvey and she has showed him some sympathy over time. Even though he is a disgusting man and he deserves to rot in jail. But I don't understand why Oprah wants to be best friends with someone like Harvey Weinstein. They had a very warm friendship, and the photos show. Some people actually believe that Oprah convinced some actresses to hook up with Harvey Weinstein. And actually, Rose McGowan tweeted out, "I'm glad more people are seeing the ugly truth of Oprah. I wish she were real, but she isn't."
And then there's Harvey Weinstein. Oprah's relationship with him wasn't distant or professional in passing. It was close, and by many accounts, she extended him personal support, even as the accusations against him became public and impossible to ignore. None of this on its own proves anything. Courts decide guilt, not documentaries and not YouTube videos. But when you line up the school scandal, the John of God endorsement, the Nygaard connection, and the Weinstein closeness, one question becomes very hard to avoid. How does someone with that much oversight, that much personal involvement, consistently end up standing next to people like this, again and again, without ever fully explaining how she missed it every single time?
In 2009, a single video was recorded and then forgotten. A woman named Gabriela Rico Jimenez was seen outside a luxury hotel in Mexico. She was crying, shaking, and saying disturbing things about powerful elites. At the time, the media called it a mental breakdown. The police took her away, and after that, she disappeared completely. Years later, the video resurfaced. At the same time, leaked files brought old questions back to life. Was she delusional, or did she speak too soon? And why is there no record of her after that day? There is no confirmed evidence, no official answers. But some stories never fade, because their truth was never fully revealed.
Back in 2009, a young model named Gabriela Rico Jimenez came forward with a story about a party she had attended and what happened to her there. Watch her in this clip. She looks genuinely shaken, genuinely afraid. At the time, almost nobody believed her. She was written off, and not long after, she was arrested, and then she disappeared entirely. To this day, nobody has ever found her. Back then, the documents didn't exist yet. Nobody had anything to connect her story to. Today, knowing what the flight logs and the emails actually show, her story doesn't sound far-fetched at all. It sounds like exactly the kind of thing this entire pattern was built to keep quiet.
I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation. I felt like Hollywood is just spineless, en masse. And it really felt like, oh, this is a really clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore.
There was some question today about if anyone else had walked from the audience and done that, they would have been escorted out by security or maybe even arrested. The police asked Chris if he wanted to file charges. They asked Chris, do you want to file charges? And Chris apparently said no, he did not.
He doesn't want the hassle. I'd have announced this morning that I was suing Will for $200 million because that video is going to be there forever. It's going to be ubiquitous. You know, that insult is going to last a very long time. If you want to yell from the audience and disapprove or show a disapproval or say something on Twitter or whatever, you do not have the right to walk up on stage and smack somebody in the face because they said words.
No, I agree. I think we all agree on that. I just thought, Jim, that it escalated to that. You know what I mean? That it escalated to that level.
It didn't escalate. It came out of nowhere because Will has something going on inside him that's frustrated, and I wish him the best. I really do. I don't have anything against Will Smith. He's done great things. But that was not a good moment. It cast a pall over everybody's shining moment last night. You know, a lot of people worked really hard to get to that place and to have their moment in the sun and to get their award for the really hard work they did. And it is no mean feat to go through all the stuff you have to go through when you're nominated for an Oscar. It's a gauntlet of devotion that you have to do. And you know, it was just a selfish moment that cast a pall over the whole thing.
I mean, bravo.
This is why Jim Carrey's voice matters so much in all of this. Watch him here, refusing to let the media soften what happened during the Will Smith Oscar slap into some vague mental health moment. He said what he saw, plainly, without dressing it up for anyone's comfort.
I'm doing just fine. There's no meaning to any of this. So I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come to and join, and here I am.
They're celebrating.
You got to admit it's completely meaningless.
Well, they say they're celebrating icons inside.
Celebrating
Do you believe
icons.
in icons?
Boy, that is just the absolute lowest aiming, possibility that we could come up with. It's like icons. Do you believe in icons? I don't believe in personalities. I don't believe that you exist, but there is a wonderful fragrance in the air.
You don't believe certain icons have the power to make change, to think differently, to be bold, to inspire others? Artistry? You're one of them.
On the good foot. Ha! Yeah. You shut her down now. Yeah, no, I don't believe in icons. I don't believe in personalities. I believe that peace lies beyond personality, beyond invention and disguise, beyond the red S that you wear on your chest that makes bullets bounce off. I believe that it's deeper than that. I believe we're a field of energy dancing for itself. And I don't care.
That same refusal to play along shows up again here, standing on a red carpet, calling the entire event in front of him meaningless, directly to the cameras, while reporters smiled and nodded like he hadn't just said something true out loud.
In America, in the United Kingdom, across the globe. And we need to be clear, shamelessness is not and will never be a superpower. It is the mark of a villain. Kidnapping children is not what great nations do. Almost half of America at this moment believes there is a sinister deep state diabolically plotting to what? We in America are misinformed. Reality shows have warped our idea of what a hero is, or what the truth is.
And here, in his own words, Jim Carrey names exactly what this entire industry does best. It doesn't lie to you outright. It manipulates perception. It wraps reality in just enough distraction that you end up seeing exactly what it wants you to see and nothing else. That's the thread running through every single clip in this video. Naomi Campbell's cropped photos, Oprah's teleprompter answers, an industry that has spent decades perfecting the art of looking one way, while something else happens entirely out of frame. So here's where this leaves us. Jim Carrey said all of this years before any of it became public record, and an entire industry decided the easiest response was to laugh at him. Which raises the first question we're sitting with. If the people closest to power already knew enough to write Jim Carrey off as crazy, what does that tell you about what they actually knew and chose to protect instead? And the second question is even harder to shake. If a school scandal, a convicted faith healer, a controversial billionaire, and a disgraced producer can all sit quietly in one woman's orbit for decades, without a single clear explanation. How many more names are still sitting in that same silence, waiting for their own documents to finally surface? If you like this video, hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on any new videos. And until then, fam, keep it real.